Hollywood or Bust is one of those films that sounded really good, and it actually turned out to be nothing like what I expected, but was still absolutely fantastic. So this is a film that I absolutely thoroughly recommend, but don't expect what the description sounds like, and I'll talk about that in a moment. There will not be any spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen, or this audio, sorry, if you haven't seen the film, I definitely recommend it. This was released in 1956, and it's directed by Frank Tashlin, written by Erna Lazarus, and stars Jerry Lewis and Deana Martin. Obviously, the selling points there are Deana Martin and Jerry Lewis. And I do have to say, Jerry Lewis is known as one of comedy's greatest for a reason. His performance in this is exquisite, but I have to say, my favourite performance is that of his Great Dane. What a fantastic dog. Absolutely brilliant. So, the description from IMDb is as follows. A singer who can't pay his bookie joins a nerdy Star Trek movie fan and his Great Dane in a cross-country convertible ride to Hollywood. Now, on the face of it, that is what it's about. They are in a convertible and they do go across Hollywood. But what actually happens, and this isn't a spoiler, it's the beginning, it's the setup. Jerry Lewis's character, Malcolm, he wins this convertible, and Steve, played by Deana Martin, is trying to make it look like he won it. And through this fraud, it looks like there were two winners, so they have to share the car. And the only way they can share the car is for Malcolm to actually go to Hollywood with Steve. So they end up having this road trip, and they're very opposite people. Steve is just quite bitter, he's very negative, obviously he's down on his luck at the moment. Malcolm is full of energy, full of life, absolutely loving his life at the moment, cannot wait to get to Hollywood. I don't like road trip films, but this one I did enjoy. They go on not the most wacky of adventure. What happens to them is never very exciting. There are a few things. They meet somebody, one of them gets a bit lost, the dog has a great time. Nothing, though, is ever too action-packed. I think what makes this film good is the dynamic between our two protagonists. And just, especially Jerry Lewis, the way he portrays this character on screen, the way he acts or interacts with the dog, it's so lovely. So for me to like a film that is a road trip film, shows that there must be something in it, because ordinarily I do not like them and I do not care about them. There are obviously the odd exception, but for the most part I stay clear. Hollywood or Bust, though, is brilliant. I will say, don't expect too much of actual Hollywood in this. It is about the journey, and the outcome, I won't spoil it by actually saying what the ending is, but I'll say the outcome, I was pleased with it. I thought the execution of the narrative was great, the pacing was fine. As a road trip story, it was pretty individual in a lot of aspects. The car looks great, which is obviously a pivotal point to the narrative, and I have no complaints. It's not the funniest film I've ever seen, but it was very enjoyable. Definitely a popcorn film, I think. It's very chilled, very relaxed, and just light-hearted. It's got a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a really respectable rating. If you haven't seen Hollywood or Bust, I thoroughly recommend you do, because it's great fun, and I think the best way to describe this film is fun.